Shalom, shalom. All praise to the Most High, Yahuwah. We want to introduce you to a concept. ADDSIR. Now, like I said, y'all getting this grassroots. The lighting is not great, but we want to share something with you. ADDSIR. We're trying to develop a train of thought for people, the African diaspora in the world, so that you can begin to think in these terms. ADDSIR. Those are who we are. Paul is going to tell you what ADDSIR stands for.
And that is African Diaspora Descendants of Slavery Inheritance Reclamation. That's what we're trying to do here. That's what we want everybody to have that as a frame of mind, because we've been mistreated and just outcast for too long.
And as this concerns, it is about our reparations. It is about the African diaspora. We've been shipped all over the world. We've been taken advantage of. We've been pillaged, and our ancestors' wealth, which would have been our inheritance, has been stolen from us by all these governments. The ADDSIR Act, if we can get this incorporated by Africa, one Africa, if we can get the African people to adapt this way of thinking and attach the land to the African diaspora, descendants of slaves. In other words, the minerals, the gold, all the other resources that are in Africa, if you do not pay your reparation, which is the United States,
all of
Europe, anywhere that has taken advantage of us in the transatlantic slave trade, if you don't pay your reparations, then you cannot do business
on the continent of Africa,
on the motherland, because we looking to get this to be one Africa. So to break it down a little bit more, this is what we're thinking. Okay, the ADDSIR Act. Are you compliant with the ADDSIR Act? Well, what is the ADDSIR Act? Now, we're talking to United States, we're talking to Europe, we're talking to any place that would... Great Britain. In order, and this is, we want to know what you think. The ADDSIR Act, to be in compliance with that, okay, you have to be scheduled to pay reparations. You have to return all known African artifacts. Any property that belongs to Africa, any reparations that are owed to the African diaspora, you have to have something in place through the ADDSIR office to have those things on board in your country. So what we're thinking is that we're going to have an office in every country, and those representatives of ADDSIR will be able to deal with the government.
Right, both a liaison that's stationed in Africa and a liaison team, as well as a liaison team of the diaspora and the nations that are hoping to do business in Africa.
If you are not compliant,
then it's a no-go.
If you are not paying reparations, if you're not scheduled to pay reparations, if you are not returning our African artifacts, you can't do business in Africa. Now, listen to me. Our African brothers and sisters, leaders, you have to attach the African diaspora back to the African land. How do you do that? you have to attach us to the resources. You have to change the Constitution that says no country can do business in Africa unless they take care of the African diaspora. We're all over the world. If we can get these nations to understand that they have to pay reparations, they have to pay our artifacts. I mean, they have to return our artifacts. They have to do everything that makes them in compliance with ADDSIR.
To cease all neo-colonialist operations in the continent of Africa as well.
You cannot do business in Africa. In turn, because now the African diaspora, United States, Brazil, Haiti, Jamaica, India, everywhere, you have to be in compliance with the ADDSIR Act. Your country will be sanctioned. You're going to be sanctioned. You can't do business here unless you're doing our people right, unless you're returning our artifacts. Now,
Paying those reparations.
paying those reparations. Those reparations are in the trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. If you attach, and this is where we get a chance to think about the whole process, but for every dollar that comes through ADDSIR, which is attached to the African motherland, 33 cents of that dollar goes to what? Military, healthcare, education,
The infrastructure.
and food. We won't have to beg and borrow for anything. You say come home to the African diaspora. With what? We've been pillaged.
Your butt in your hand.
We've been pillaged. We don't have anything to come back to. And what we coming back to? Y'all broke too. But if we anchor ourselves together, we change the Constitution, and we make the ADDSIR Act the law of the land
In the whole continent of Africa.
in the whole continent of Africa, and then the whole world, or everyone that has had or has benefited from the transatlantic slave trade, has benefited from stealing our African artifacts, have benefited from us in any way, we put them on layaway. Look, you owe us $30 trillion over here. You can't do business. You can't, no gold. What's that big one that you need?
What, the uranium?
Uranium. Look, you can't get none.
Cobalt.
Cobalt. You can't get any of that.
What about our vanilla beans?
Vanilla bean, coffee bean, any kind of bean. You can't do any of that.
Ivory.
Ivory, you're not eligible. You are not in compliance.
Running our exotic animals into extinction.
Oh, come on.
Cut
There's a
all
whole.
that out.
Oh, yeah. So there you go. So we have a lot of things that we will be able to control. And you talk about catapulting Africa onto the national stage.
What, global stage.
I mean, I misspoke. The global stage, all at once, and have them pay or return our stolen wealth back to us,
Right.
or else.
And anybody coming into any of those nation states, you're gonna have a surcharge on your plane ticket. $5, $10, $20. That money's gonna start coming into the people's hands. All these international corporations lining their pockets out of Africa like they've been doing for the last 100 years. The buck stops here.
Unless they're complying with ADDSIR, and their country is sanctioned, they won't even be able to do business. That's where you will get your political power from, the pushback from those big billionaires saying, hey, listen, unless you pay these people their reparations, we can no longer do business. That's going to be a lot of where your might comes from. Because anytime you messing with the Westerners' money and you say, hey, listen, I'm going to cut you off unless the same sanctions that they do to everybody else. We just sanction them. And
Right.
and now
One butt kicking deserves another.
one butt kicking deserves another. ADDSIR. 33% goes to the land, our African brothers and sisters, to buy food, infrastructure, education, military. That'll be a beautiful thing. You have the African diaspora trickling home 100, 200, 300 people at a time. If you get our reparations together and anchor us to the land, we'll be coming home in the tens of millions. We'll be coming back to Africa in the tens of millions because we'll have the wealth. The country will grow exponentially. No other nation will be able to keep up with us. With their
Scientists, engineers,
coming home.
military, police,
Agriculture.
educators,
We all come.
everybody.
That's where we want to be anyway, but we can't come back there broke, and we can't come back there unless you anchor us to the land. Anchor us to the resources with the ADDSIR Act. Change the Constitution. Nobody can do business. We can't do business if we wanted to because your country is being sanctioned by Africa. Unless you, again, reparations, you pay reparations, unless you return our artifacts, unless you become compliant with ADDSIR. What's that again? ADDSIR.
Oh.
African Diaspora
Descendants of slavery, inheritance, reclamation.
That's it. Tell me what you think. Get this to the right people. Like and share and get this to the right people. All these history lessons, come back home, we broke. Come back home, y'all broke. We gonna come back home and starve to death? Take what little y'all got?
I'm looking at you.
Everybody
boy,
hungry. Attach
Your bellies.
the African diaspora to the resources through the ADDSIR Act. You can't do business here. You can't make money here. And once it does kick off, Africa will be the richest land in the world. With every country that participated in the transatlantic slave trade, paying homage and giving back the wealth of our stolen ancestors. Otherwise, you can't come here. You can't do business here. We don't even want you here traveling. You shut the world down. People freeze to death. What's that? What you say that's the cobalt? Is that what they use? I know France needs
Uranium. They
uranium.
Run, like 70% running the country off of uranium.
You shut the whole world down unless they do what they're supposed to do.
They sitting over there crying now, sitting up there talking about, oh, you won't let me beat you up and rob you any longer. What's wrong with you?
Once you change the Constitution, it changes the law of the land. All those old contracts will no longer be valid. Those old contracts will no longer be valid. Well, you know, your country isn't being sanctioned now, so those contracts that we had with you for the mines,
Right.
for the tobacco, for the cobalt, for the uranium, those are all now void
Right.
because our Constitution has changed. You go back and petition your government
Right. Tell them to get our money together.
so that we can go back to work in Africa.
Right.
That's all it is. So that
You made billions and trillions of dollars over there. Now it's time to give it back.
that's what it is. All right, so this is on the beautiful Shabbat. We doing Yahuwah's work, and we just hope that this stimulates some thought. We don't want to hear another. A doctor got on there the other day. She said, "Come back home."
With
And
what?
then with what? And she gave her history lessons on why we got reparations. You get 1 million people online telling us a history lesson. How many times we got to hear what they did to us with no solution?
Well, when I put my 2 cents in, he said, hey, man, how many people you think I heard say what you just said, told me? Look, man's tired of the history lesson. I'm tired of giving. Now, if you don't know, we'll tell you, but look, We got to move past that goalpost.
Right.
It's time to draw a new line in the sand, because that one they've been choking us down there in the stranglehold, rolling us around like alligators, and you can't do no better than that.
Nothing ever changes. We just hear another history lesson. I can go to YouTube right now and pick up 100 reparation things, and there's no solution. All we can do is beg and hope that they give us our money. No, we're not begging anymore. We're telling you, unless you are in compliance with ADDSIR, then you could no longer get resources for what you need.
Right, because we tired of, our belly's full of all that heartache and pain, knocking us in the head, killing us in the streets, and your pockets get full of while we running around here drowning in a bloodbath. Game over.
Trust me, if you attach the African diaspora, what they call them down in Mexico, Afro
Latino.
All right, listen, we would come back home in the tens of millions, because they don't want us in these places anyway, and we want to come back home. Attach the African diaspora to the land, and you watch and see how it works out. You got anything else, big man?
That's about it. Look, just tell them to get that money together. Time to what's that?
Time to pay up.
Give me my daddy's records.
Absolutely. And we're not begging. This is our stolen inheritance.
Right. Pay what you owe.
Pay what you owe.
Right.
You paid everybody else, you may as well pay us as well. You're gonna pay us as well. My brothers and sisters in Africa, if you get this message and you can share it to the right people, it's easy to get in contact. We just getting started with this. The biggest and the brightest minds haven't even, you know what I'm saying?
Right, we just knocking around in the sand right here.
This is us just figuring just some things out. So I'm gonna say this on this beautiful day, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Peace unto you all. And blessings.
Assalamu alaikum. Again, we're gonna close it out with the acronym. I let the big guy tell you what that is again. Whoa.